Hear that little, I know I got to do something. Well, anyway, tonight our history of the hymns is sung by Squire Parsons. I don't know if you've ever heard of a man by the name of Squire Parsons. Is that okay? Is that ringing any out there, Joe? Is that ringing out there? Any of that going on? Okay, that's okay. I don't have a good monitor up here, so I don't always know. But sweet Beulah land, and I tell you, when you've had a loved one pass away, and I guess especially recent, in my case, a song like this really finds a mark, and I hope it'll stir up a memory in your heart about a loved one who's now in glory. But Isaiah 62, beginning in verse 1, says this, and this kind of gives you a backstory biblically on the hymn. Isaiah 62, 1 and following says, "For Zion's sake will I not hold my peace," the Lord speaking here, "and for Jerusalem's sake I will not rest, until the righteousness thereof go forth as brightness, and the salvation thereof is a lamp that burneth. And the Gentiles shall see thy righteousness, and all kings thy glory. And thou shalt be called by a new name, which the mouth of the Lord shall name. Thou shalt also be a crown of glory in the hand of the Lord, and a royal diadem in the hand of thy God. Thou shalt no more be termed forsaken, neither shall thy land any more be termed desolate, but thou shalt be called Hephzibah, and thy land Beulah. For the Lord delighteth in thee, and thy land shall be married." So this song sings about the fact that the believer will be at a wedding feast in heaven, because we're the bride of Christ. And so I started looking into this, and the preacher's going to love this. Watch, he's getting ready to smile. In the Christian allegory, Pilgrim's Progress, written way back in 1678 by John Bunyan, Beulah land is a place of peace near the end of the Christian life, on the border of the celestial city. The river of death separates Beulah from the New Jerusalem, the city on a hill. And it says there, let me read you just a portion of it. It says, "Now I saw in my dream that by this time the pilgrims were got over the enchanted ground and entering into the country of Beulah, whose air was very sweet and pleasant, the way laying directly through it. They solaced themselves there for a season. Yea, here they heard continually the singing of the birds, and saw every day the flowers appear in the earth, and heard the voice of the turtle dove in the land. In this country the sun shineth night and day. Wherefore, this was beyond the valley of the shadow of death, and also out of the reach of giant despair. Neither could they from this place so much as see Doubting Castle." You should read Pilgrim's Progress, right, preacher? Yeah. You really should. It's a wonderful allegory. I believe Bunyan was in prison. He was in prison when he wrote that. But now on to the song, now that we've kind of laid the groundwork for what Beulah land is and what it means. This is from backstorysongs.com. And someone asked Squire Parsons to talk about how this hymn came about. And he says this: "When I was 9 years old, my father was a song leader in our small community church in Newton, West Virginia. One of the songs he led the congregation in singing was a song called 'Is This the Land of Beulah?' It seemed my father's face would glow, and the entire congregation seemed to be swept up into a wonderful prospect of the eternal land about which they were singing. The image stayed with me," Mr. Parsons said, "for years, all through my young years, and I would often remember thinking Dad was looking into Beulah land as he sang that song." He said, "It wasn't until years later that I was driving to my high school teaching job, thinking back to that service in that little church, and I was humming the same sweet song. And just as I topped one of the mountains on my drive, I was faced with the view of the brilliant sun and all its glory. While still thinking about the scene in our church, I suddenly began to sing again. And this time it was a different song, one that I'd never heard her sung before, Mr. Squire Parsons states. I was singing the chorus that would become my most known song, Sweet Beulah Land. I traveled on to school, and when I arrived before the students came in that morning, I sat and wrote a verse to go along with the chorus that had just been born. I put the song away, and another 5 years went by before I wrote the second verse. And there it was that I recorded the song, Sweet Beulah Land. And it launched Squire Parsons into a ministry. He's still living today, in his 80s, by the way. He's retired, though. He traveled for many years as a gospel singer and songwriter. And Sweet Beulah Land was written in 1973 and recorded by Squire Parsons in 1979. In 1981, it became a #1 song, and it was awarded Song of the Year by the Singing News Magazine Fan Awards. But all of those things aside, this is a beautiful song and a beautiful thought for you and me to think about what lies ahead after this life is over. This song is called Sweet Beulah Land. I'm kind of homesick for a country to which I've never been before. No sad goodbyes will there be spoken, for time won't matter anymore. Beulah Land, I'm longing for you, and someday on thee I'll stand. There my home shall be eternal. Beulah Land, sweet Beulah Land. I'm looking now across the river, where my faith will end inside. There's just a few more days to labor, then I will take my heavenly flight. Beulah Land, I'm longing for you, and someday on thee I'll stand. There my home shall be eternal. Beulah Land, sweet Beulah.